Okay, I'm gonna press start.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good morning. I'm so happy that you can make it to our first media arts session for the virtual experience. I'm Tanya Warren. I am the Information Technology and Media Arts Consultant at KDE. We're using Teams Live this morning, so this may be the first time that you've been in a Teams Live meeting, so I'm going to go over just a few things of how it's going to work for us today. I have two producers that'll be helping out today. Reagan Satterwhite, she is the Career Programs and Pathways Manager for our department, and Teresa Rogers is another consultant in our department. So they will be producers. They'll be helping with some of your questions this morning. So if you want to, we'll go on and start the next. So welcome to our virtual experience. Today or this week, we will have over 13 live sessions for you to be able to attend, and over 20 on-demand sessions will be available Monday through Thursday this week. So the on-demand you can do after 4 o'clock. We've got a schedule of sessions. If you have a break in between two sessions, you can go down and review some of those on-demand sessions. So I think that'll be nice. I listed over 20 on-demand. I've added additional sessions, so I'm really not sure exactly how many options that we do have at this point, but I know there's over 20. We're also offering an online industry certification lab Monday through Thursday. So I'm really excited that you guys have this opportunity to be able to take the virtual exams. So don't miss your chance to earn an industry certification for free. Normally, if you attend the in-person conference, we have a lab set up where teachers can take industry certifications in person. So this one will be completely online. So if you're a new teacher, this is a new option for everybody. You do need to sign up for the industry certification exams at least 24 hours prior to testing. Certiport is proctoring this for us, and they have to get all those exams ready to go. They have to get a code for you to be able to be set up, and they have to assign a proctor to this. So that's why we have to have the 24 hours prior to testing, and they have a cutoff point of 8:30. So like if you wanted to take an exam tomorrow, if you look at that schedule, you can just click on it and add what time that you want to do your exam, and then you can type in like which exam that you want to take. But after 8:30 tonight, you would have to go to the next day would be Wednesday. So you have to schedule before 8:30 to be able to do Tuesday. You can schedule on there after 8:30, but it would have to be for Wednesday the next day. So the schedule of sessions and the sign up link for Industry Certification Lab are going to be posted in our Google Classroom. So I've added a link also to the invitation for this meeting. If you didn't pre-register for a session, you still can go in and go to those sessions. So I sent a Google form that was a survey of like what sessions you were interested in, but I did have some teachers after that didn't get to register or that still wanted to be able to attend some of the sessions. So I made that metrics of sessions available in our Google Classroom, and all you have to do is click where it says click here to join the meeting, and you can still go in and join. Just try to be on time for those sessions, but even if you didn't register weeks ago, you can go to any of the live sessions. You still have that opportunity. And I also put a link in this presentation. So I'll try to send out the presentation this afternoon if you want to look at that through this also, through the slides. Our session today is going to be 9:30 to 10:20. During the session, we'll have a question and answer option. It's a Q&A button that you can post questions. Teresa and Reagan will be going through those questions, so they may send you some responses during the presentation. The others we may have to address at the end of the presentation, so I'll try to go through all my information and then we'll go back and review the questions. I'll be sending out a PowerPoint that'll be emailed to you just to keep as a resource. So some of this information you may want to go back and look at later in the semester. The session will end at 10:20. We won't have the option to extend the time because we'll have additional sessions starting at 10:30. I'll send a document of questions with the answers with the PowerPoint if we run out of time to address the questions. I'll send a list of questions even if we answer the question, and that way if you want to reference back to it. So I'll have a transcript of all the questions that you ask, and I'll share those after we have the session. Some people have asked about professional development. You can get the hours for attending the virtual experience. The most you can get is 15 hours. You don't have to do 15 hours. You know, just attend what interests you. Don't feel like that you have to attend every session. You know, I just sort of set this up as like a choice board of options. So just pick what interests you. Our sessions, most of them are 50 minutes. A couple of like the coordinators meeting is 1 to 4 this afternoon, but the media arts sessions are pretty much all 50 minutes. If your district asks for pre-approval for you to be able to get professional development, please follow whatever process that they have in place. If they asked you to complete a form that has to be sent into your district office, some of them, it has to be turned in before you attend the professional development. So if you haven't done that, make sure you do that today and get it turned in, because I don't want you to attend and then, you know, September or October, your district come back and say, well, you didn't turn in the correct form. So if you're a new teacher, you might want to check on that if you're going to do sessions this entire week to make sure you can get that credit. You will be receiving a certificate. I'll be sending out an email after the conference is finished, probably the first week of August, and you'll do a survey concerning the virtual experience. This is normally what we do for the in-person conference in Louisville at the Galt House. You would receive an email the following week, or maybe 2 weeks later, you would complete the survey and then you would receive a PD certificate. So that'll be the same process that we'll do for this. It'll be mailed out probably mid-August. I will need your correct email address for that though. So if you have moved school districts and you have a new school email address, my email address is on this slide. So if you need to take a picture of it or just jot down what it is, but just email me what your new email address is. If you are a new hire, then I may not have your school email address. So if you can send me what your address will be when you start school. And like I said, the surveys will be sent out probably next week, which will be August, will be next week. The first slide I wanted to talk about was entry certifications. This is a big change, and I've had several emails from teachers asking about the online virtual proctoring. In the spring, KDE they didn't allow the online proctoring, and there's been a change. I think they're trying to be a little bit more flexible for this school year because a lot of schools may be doing virtual academies for the first semester of the year anyway, so we'll see. But you have the option for virtual proctoring is allowable if in-person courses are not available. So if your school is doing a virtual academy and there isn't an option for them to do an in-person course, then they are allowed to do the virtual industry certification. Also, if your school is doing in-person courses and they give parents the option to choose not to send their students to in-person courses, those students are allowed to do the virtual proctoring. Now, your students that are doing the in-class normal schedule, they would have to do the regular exams in person just like we did. But this does give you two options to be able to have students do the virtual exams. The Perkins the Perkins funding and the state free reduced funds that are available for certifications, those are still available for the virtual proctored exams. So those are two different funding options, and they will still pay for those exams even if they're virtual. So that's good news. TEDS data entry, you're not going to have two different processes for that. It's going to go through the same process if they are doing in person or if they're doing virtual. So no difference. You just need to document it. It may be helpful for you to take an online industry certification this week just to see how that works, since your students are going to have this option in the fall. The exams are free, so if you want to go in, sign up for something, and that way you'll know what the process entails before your students have to get into it. There's going to be $600,000 in state funding available for districts to use for free and reduced lunch students for industry certification exams. The last year we had the same funding, so you may know some of the students that took exams last year. But if you have some of those students that can receive this funding, I think the last 2 years they haven't used all of the money that was available. So these can be used for any industry certifications that are on the valid list that we have. So make sure that you use those funds if you have those available. The 1920 graduates, if you have students that are interested in coming back and taking those exams to be able to get that industry certification, then you can use those vouchers to be able to do that. There is a guidance document at the top up here that's reopening your labs. So you might want to go in and just review that, but it is possible for your seniors to come back and get those industry certifications. It does have to be a senior though, so when they are returning, it can't be a freshman or a sophomore. That's only available for seniors that want to come back and get that. Transition readiness, there's been a little bit of a change. Senate Bill 158 requires changes to the state accountability system. The coordinators meeting that we're having this afternoon, I'm sure that they will address some of this information. There's supposed to be additional details released. We don't have all of the information on how this is going to change, or how COVID-19 may affect accountability, or so some new information will be released. You do need to be aware that career readiness and Perkins federal accountability are not identical. Dual credit is not included in federal accountability, only industry certifications and end of program assessment. So schools will still be held accountable for Perkins federal accountability in 2021, regardless of pending decisions on state accountability for 2021. So Perkins is not the same as state accountability. So if they make changes to that, you still want to meet the Perkins accountability. And during the coordinators meeting today, they're going to address some things for Perkins. So you may want to jump into that session and see all the details that they mention about Perkins funding. The minimum high school graduation requirements, Senate Bill 158 also is making changes to those new graduation requirements. So last year, if you were a new teacher, I brought like some packets out, and one of the items was the new graduation requirements. So that is going to change. So if you have that document, there's going to be some new information that'll be sent out, that'll be released to districts. I'm not sure when that's going to happen. That'll be from the Teaching and Learning, Office of Teaching and Learning. So as soon as we get that, we'll release it. These changes affect the graduation qualifiers. So that one-page document that had all the information about graduation requirements, maybe put that to the side until we can get the new information sent out. This is a slide that was released to us on the EOP track and pilot EOP assessments. It's mostly it's mentioning different exams, different pilot exams that are going to be available, and the dates. We don't have a pilot exam for the media arts that's going to be available, but the item in the middle, the 2019-20 seniors can only make up, or are the only ones that are doing the makeup for the exam. So the CTE, EOP, and skilled trades track assessments are planned for the fall. There's going to be some dates. The districts may select August the 3rd through the 7th, all the way up to October the 12th through the 16th. But just make sure this is seniors that will be able to make up during that testing window. And the rest of these are just talking about some of the different pilot exams, accounting, financial services. But like I said, we don't have one for media arts. Dual credit. This may be something that is going to help the schools KCTCS is offering some flexibility. They're trying to get online courses out there available to schools. I know I've talked to several principals, and they're working with their local KCTCS to be able to come up with classes that they could work into maybe virtual academies. So I think they realize that this is needed more this year than ever. So they're going to offer some 8-week sessions, 12 weeks, 16 weeks. So you'll be partnering with KCTCS to see sort of what courses that you can maybe add for students that could just be taught by their instructors, even if you don't have somebody at your school that could teach that. So this is an option that would help your online program offerings. Media Arts dual credit. I just wanted to mention I had Scott run a report for us that showed how many students under Media Arts were dual credit students. So these are not the number of courses, these are the number of students. So you had 50 students that took at least one dual credit course in media arts. That was for 2019, 2020. We thought these numbers seemed a little bit low. So some schools may think that dual credit media arts courses are ineligible for the Kentucky Work Ready Scholarship because these courses do not align with the top 5 high demand industry sectors in Kentucky. But that's not true. The high school version of the Work Ready Scholarship says any CTE course in a valid pathway is eligible. So you might want to just share that information. I don't know if there may be some misunderstanding, and that may be why that the dual credit is a little bit, the numbers are a little bit low. So just sharing that out. This information was shared from Carla Tipton. She's our Perkins person. So this addresses Perkins Pathways and the CTSO requirements. So Perkins 5 last year, they did several sessions to try to review some of the changes. So one of the things is one secondary to post-secondary pathway alignment is required for each program area for which districts will use Perkins funds. This is due by May of 21. So you'll have this entire year, but you do need to start working and trying to get this together. I had some principals call this summer, and they were getting alignments. They were working with their local partners, their community colleges, trying to get this lined up before school started. So KDE is developing a tool that's not been released yet, that'll be through TEDS, that'll help with some of the documentation for this post-secondary pathway alignment. Schools should begin working with post-secondary immediately to ensure these are in place by 21-22. So you will need to get these turned in by May, and that would get you ready for the following school year for 21-22. One of the other requirements is you have to have an aligned CTSO for each program area to be able to use Perkins funds. There's going to be a tool developed through TEDS that'll collect this information, so that both of those will be rolled out. As soon as those are in place, they'll release that information out to you all, sort of how you'll put that information into TEDS. Perkins requirement, 3 of the requirements in Perkins 5 were size, scope, and quality. So I just added a definition. There's more information in this document. So I linked the full document to the slide if you want to review that. Size is to identify size. KDE, the definition is the complete program of study in the program area offered in the school. If a school has more than one program area, then each area will need at least one complete program of study. And then scope, the programs of study lead to industry recognized certification. So it can be one of these options. So the media arts program, there's several industry certification options. Articulated college credit, so your EOP exams are linked to articulated credit with the University of the Cumberland, so that's an option. And then dual credit opportunities, so that listing where you had 50 students that did dual credit, this is part of like the Perkins requirement is to do as one of these options. So the dual credit can be part of the Perkins requirement, dual credit for students or work-based learning. Quality, secondary programs shall meet the following indicators. So be of sufficient size, which offers a sequence of 4 or more earned technical credits. So last year when we were discussing the change from preparatory to concentrator, I had a few people that were concerned that schools would only offer 2 courses at that point, that once they realized that you could be a concentrator if you completed 2 courses. So it shows in Perkins for quality, you have to offer a sequence of 4 or more earned technical credits. So this should have schools that they will need to do those 4 courses, even though, you know, to be a concentrator, you're only have to complete 2 courses. Have a post-secondary connection through dual enrollment, dual credit, current agreement for a program of study. So we sort of reviewed all of those options that you have. Industry recognized certifications, and we have our valid industry certification list. And then at the bottom, this was new with Perkins 5, is to add the CTSO to provide students the opportunity to engage in leadership development activities, and that's going to begin 21-22. I've added, these are all sessions that are available that are CTSO. So if you haven't had the opportunity to work with a student organization, these are all being offered during our virtual experience. So you would get PD credit for attending these. So you may want to attend more than one just to get an idea of how the different programs work. So DECA is more of a marketing, but there's a lot of media arts options and events. So you could sort of see from the these sessions what events that they offer and how the competitions work through the different student organizations. So our media arts touches base with FBLA. There's some things with FBLA that connect with media arts. DECA, Skills USA, some of you may be a part of that, and Kentucky TSA. So the email address is attached to each of these. And if you don't have time to go to all of these sessions, they are going to be available recorded. So all of these will be recorded. They will be links in our schedule. So the schedule that's available, I will keep that in our Google Classroom. So if you don't have time to review these now, you can always go back and click on these later. These are our enrollment numbers. Over the last couple of years, so 2016-17, there was 4,783 students that were enrolled in media arts programs, and then this year we had 10,115. So we have definitely increased over time. You can see dual credit has increased. There wasn't any dual credit in 16-17, but you know, we ended up with 50 for 19-20. So there is, you know, room for an increase in that number. Media arts, this is just the change between preparatory and concentrator. If, you know, of course there's going to be an increase because if you weren't here last year, if you're new, if you're a new teacher, preparatory, they had to complete 2 courses and be enrolled in a 3rd course, and a concentrator, they just have to have completed 2 courses. So this does change it because, you know, you grabbed a few students that wouldn't have taken that 3rd course. But here's your difference, and then next year we'll compare as a concentrator to concentrator. So I've added the link to your program of studies for 2021. It's available on the KDE website, so you have that link. And we also have 21-22 that's available. I've added that link to the slide. There's a new area on the KDE website where program of studies will be available. It's still going to be available over to the right-hand side where it was located before, but they also have like a separate location. So this link takes you to that separate location so you can see that. When you start looking through your 21-22 program of studies, there are 2 new courses that were added. there's a special topics for video production and a special topics for graphic design. Some of the other, I am the information technology consultant, and most of the pathways in information technology have a special topics course. And I felt like there was a need for that because some of you have wanted to introduce maybe new courses that aren't available. And there's a process to go through to have a new course sort of vetted and added into the pathway options. So the special topics gives you a chance to maybe try out a new course that you may want to see, that you might want to add, or if you're going through the process of adding a new course, just to see if you do want to go through that process and if it is a course that you want to add. So I think this will help media arts. And I know just a couple of the schools seemed interested in having that option. So starting 21-22, there will be a special topics option for both of those. There are going to be some changes. Let's see, changes to the media arts pathways, the EOP exams. We have an EOP exam for each of the pathways: cinematography, video production, graphic design, and interactive media. The interactive media has shared an EOP exam with the digital development and game design. So under the IT program area, and the information technology are going to be changing standards in 21-22. So this year will be the last year that the interactive media will share an EOP exam with the IT exam. So you will have this year, you will have an EOP exam that'll be shared with the IT pathway, but after this year, the standards will change for IT, so you won't share that EOP with them. These are our media arts articulation agreements. We have agreements with the University of the Cumberlands. Students would get 3 hours of credit for each of those EOP exams. That was one of the items listed with Perkins funding, was the articulation agreements to be able to have that articulated credit. So this is, you would get 3 hours for each of those. So you might want to share that with the students if they take that EOP exam and pass. That's going to be added to their transcript. I think as of this year, last year that wasn't added to their transcript. So if a student enrolls at the University of the Cumberlands, it's going to be on that transcript that they pass that EOP exam, so the school automatically see it. And so that'll be sort of proof that they passed it. They won't have to go back and get that information, and they'll get those 3 credit hours. I've had some teachers that have contacted me over the summer. This was a resource that was added last year. It is a state course, a searchable state course database, and it gives you the option if there's a course and you're not sure if you can teach the course, you can just click on the page and it looks something like this. And you just choose the year, and then you can type in the course code. And then when you come over here, it shows you the course, and then there is a details, and you can see all of the certifications that can teach that course. There's also an advanced search option where you can click up here, and it will let you type in your certification and search for it, and it'll show every course that you can teach with your certification. So this is just a new resource. I think we introduced this last summer, but I've still had some teachers that didn't know about it, or principals that have been searching for this information and they can't find it. So just keep this in mind. I added the link to the previous slide, so when you go through the presentation, you may want to just add this somewhere, so if you ever need to search, you'll have it. And Teresa Rogers has been monitoring our questions as we're going through the presentation. So I wanted to take a few minutes that we can go in and just review some of those questions and see if we can answer some of the questions that you have. If there is something that hasn't been released, I may have to get that information and then send that back to you after this week or after the coordinators meeting today. But I'll try to answer everything that I can. Reagan is in the meeting too. She's my manager, so she may be able to answer some questions too. But so Teresa, if you want to jump on, and we'll just go through. We'll just go through the questions.
Tanya, the first question that we have is there going to be alignment between the media arts classes and a dual credit equivalent at KCTCS?
I think that is being worked out locally. Like each of the community colleges should be sort of meeting with the school districts to see what they're offering. So I know there's been a couple of schools that have contacted me that have had like some online meetings, and they've sent some of that information over to the KCTCS, and they've they've been letting them look at like what they're going to offer. And so they're sort of working locally with those schools. So and some of that's been happening this summer, and I know there's a few more weeks before school starts, but they'll have to make that connection with the local school and let them look at like what they're going to offer and what information needs to be covered.
Okay, and I had another question. Someone had said that they had 30 people enrolled in a dual credit with JCTCS for media arts, and they wondered if that was reported.
So they had 30 people that were enrolled in a dual credit.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know who it is. They're signed in as anonymous, so I don't know who that was.
And that's was it Jefferson County though?
Well, it says I had 30 enrolled in dual credit with JCTC is what they have for media arts, and I wonder if it was reported.
Okay, I will check on that and I'll let you guys know. The numbers that I received were from Scott Uselis. He does a lot of work with different data reports that we asked for. So I was just trying to get that information that he could see how many students did dual credit. So we had 50 is what they reported. So the 30 may have been in that 50. The 30 that they had enrolled from that one school may be part of the 50, but that was the number that he sent back over. But I can have him go back and check that again for last year and just double check. But yeah, out of the 50, 30 may have came from that one school district.
Mm-hmm. And Tanya, there were a couple other questions, but Reagan has answered those. One was about bringing in 2020 seniors that were close to completing the industry certification, so she has answered that. And then there was a question about the coordinators meeting on Monday, and they wanted to know who these coordinators were and if they needed to be there. So.
This meeting, the coordinators meeting, is going to actually be open to all teachers. So normally there's specific people that are invited to that meeting. When we do the in-person conference at the Galt House, normally everyone isn't included in that, but this year where it's virtual, that's why I really didn't block any sessions for this afternoon, because they told us they wanted us to sort of leave that open so anybody could attend. So there's so much information that's going to be available during that coordinators meeting. They are going to be hitting information about track. They're going to be talking about the pathway alignments. They're going to be talking about Perkins funding. They're going to be talking about accountability for this year. So I would definitely try to attend at least some of that meeting, because there's a lot of information that's going to be available. If you can't attend the meeting, like, it is going to be available. They're going to record it, so that might be something you might want to go back and review. Some of the slides that I had listed came from KDE's leadership, and several of them said information will be released at a later date. So there may be some updated information in the coordinators meeting today, or I'm sure that they'll go into more details about some of these topics. So it's going to be really packed with information this afternoon. So it would definitely be a session I would try to attend if possible.
Tanya, I can kind of jump in and add to that as well. Typically, when we meet in person at the Galt House, space is limited in that session. And so it really will just be for coordinators and principals and counselors. But our virtual sessions provide us with a unique opportunity for all stakeholders to jump in and listen to that information. In a year when, you know, the information is definitely going to be a little bit different and unique, because this is not a typical year that we're working with. So I'd encourage all of you guys, if you are available to listen to that, even if you kind of just, you know, have it on your phone or something, you might be able to do that with whatever else you have going on this afternoon. And then it's always going to be posted on our media portal. If you just go to the KDE website and type in media portal, there's other helpful and pre-recorded sessions there as well. So join it if you can.
And Tanya, that is the last of the questions, unless I have missed something in the feed that Reagan sees.
I don't think so. And if you guys have any other questions throughout the sessions, you can go back to this chat box and you can add it, or you can just email Tanya. We're available this whole week if you have any of those questions, or if you watch the coordinator session and that sparks a question, you can email me personally or Tanya, either one of us.
Yes. So yeah, I'll be sending out this PowerPoint presentation and the list of questions that were submitted. But if you have additional questions that you think of after the session, feel free to send those, and then I'll share those questions out to everyone. I won't add your name that you came up with the question. I'll just have a list of questions and try to respond to those, and that way you'll have that document as a resource. So if we don't have any other questions, we'll go ahead and end the session and let you, that'll give you a little bit of time to get ready for the day. And you could be looking over, if you've not had time to look over the schedule, it is in Google Classroom, and I added it to the invitation to this live event. So you can go in and be looking over the sessions. There are over 20 on-demand sessions available, so you might want to just go through and look through some of those if you had time today to be able to do those, or if you want to look over the schedule for the online industry certification exams. This would be a good time on Monday to plan for those. Only a limited amount of spots per day to be able to take those. So if you think that you might want to take an exam on Wednesday or Thursday, go ahead and get signed up for those the virtual exams, because once those spots are full, then you're not going to be able to get a spot. Those are being proctored through Certiport, so they only have so many that they can do per day. So you may want to look over that and go ahead and find your spot that works best for you. So,
Tanya, I do have one new question that might be of interest. The question is, are there any other classes in development besides the special topics option?
Currently, I mean, if the two courses for special topics were added through KDE, there are some schools that may be requesting specific courses, you know, for their school. You can go in and there's a process you can go through. I don't know of anything that is that's going to be hitting this year for 2021. I think there are some schools that have requested some courses. I know there was one that was looking at like a drones course that they wanted to develop. I don't think that's been approved at this point. There's a process that it goes through of a timeline that it has to be sort of reviewed and information before it is approved. I know there was that course that was in process for the drones to be taught in media arts. So that's the only other one that I know of that's in the works that is being requested. But the two that are the special topics are in the program of studies for the following year. So those are in place. So I guess if we don't have any other questions, we'll let you guys go, and have a good week. I hope you can find some sessions that can provide some resources for you with your virtual academies and some of your online instruction. I think several of the presenters that are offering information this week, that's what they're trying to gauge things towards, is that some of the instruction will have to be online. So I hope you have a good week, and if you can't make it to all of the sessions, like I said, there will be recorded sessions, and that's going to be in our Google Classroom, so you can always come back and maybe click on some of those that you didn't get to see this week. So thank you for attending today, and have a good week, everybody.